Hi, everybody. It's Craig. Welcome to Cutting the Crap with Shap. So glad you are here. We are going to have an amazing conversation with Dr. Amy Matthews Perez. She is an awesome educator and is going to share so many tips that are going to resonate with you. Again, as always, please subscribe to the channel. Please share it out. Please like. That's how we grow. If you'd like to be on the podcast, I'd love to have you on. Just let me know. It is always about sharing authentic, positive, and even voices that don't always agree with each other, because that is such an important part of becoming a more healthy, productive society. Amy, how we doing?
Hey, Craig, I'm great. How are you?
Doing well. So I'm so glad you're here. So you kind of mentioned a little bit about the title for our podcast is what makes you special. So
Yes,
tell me
sir.
what makes you special.
Well, a lot of things make me special, but I'll just tell you a few. One is I'm very authentic, I'm very transparent, and I know that there are skills, and this is not meant to sound egocentric, but there are skills that I have, there are perceptions, and there are insights that give me unique perspectives and elevates my skills in the areas that I'm passionate about. I know that was a lot of words, but I think that's just a few of the things that make me special. And I think everybody has their own reason to be special. And one thing that I like to ask people, so I'm going to ask you, Craig, when I say the word
Okay.
special, tell me three words you think of just off the top of your head. When you hear the word special, what are three words you think of?
Unique,
Okay.
positive,
Okay.
and trustworthy.
Okay. So you didn't think it's burdening, it's something extra, it's a hassle. You thought all positive
Oh
things,
no.
and that's right. That's really what I want the message to be when it comes to special, whether it's special education, special services, or what makes people special. I want special in whatever context it's used in public ed to bring about those positive emotions and that empowerment that every single one of us is special. And we can also delve into the special treatment that we expect from everyone else in the world. But if we want to be treated special, which we do, let's give that special treatment to everybody else. And it doesn't have to be extra or burdensome or a hassle. It comes from getting to know people, getting to know what their needs are, getting to know their strengths, their challenges, and then aligning that to empower them to be their best. That's what being special is being your best and exemplifying your best qualities every chance you get.
I agree. I love that, Amy. And again, I always say that if you ask me things that make me special, what I think about, my lens is going to be positive because I'm a positive guy. I think that sometimes when somebody might say burdening or another word that necessarily isn't like that,
Mm-hmm.
the question I always think about is how do we change that lens? Or how do we help a person see that they are special? Because human nature at its core tends to. I was actually just having a conversation with my son's girlfriend, and she kind of mentioned that she tends to not necessarily think about the worst things, but she'll tend to let things ruminate. They'll just sit in their
Mm-hmm.
brain and she'll think about it. And I think that's kind of like, you know, if I said to you, tell me what you think about special, you're
Mm-hmm.
saying the same thing because you are naturally positive. You are
Mm-hmm.
naturally upbeat. Yes?
Yes, absolutely. And I think definitely one's experiences, and then the context,
Mhm.
and even the mindset they're in when you talk about special, all of that is relative. All of that is relative. But I think part of the empowerment, one of the things I'm passionate about, is empowering people to understand what makes them unique and then tap into those skills or strengths and share that with the world, because that's what makes the world awesome is everyone sharing their strengths and getting better. No one's perfect. We all have room we can grow, So that's something I'm super duper passionate about, is helping people see their strengths, even if they don't think they have any. Helping people understand that special is not something extra. It really is just tapping into what is unique about you and what strengths you have and how you can use those to better yourself, your circle, your influence, and if we're going to talk on a big term, the world in general. So that's what I think of when I think of
Mhm.
special.
I love that. And it's funny. I will always ask my class, my students,
Mhm.
very early on in the semester, tell me one thing about you. Tell me a word that describes you, right? So I'll say that to students. And then I'll say to them, tell me something you're proud of. And it is amazing how long it takes for kids to be able, not just kids, even adults, to
You
be
got
able to
that right.
step back and think about that. Because again, like we, so many times students will say, Shap, I don't want to come across as being boastful.
Mhm.
And I will say, you're not boasting because I'm just asking you a question. You're not
Right.
just spouting off, hey, I'm this. I'm asking you, tell me something about you that you're proud of, or tell me a word that describes you. And then it really gets them thinking because it is a mind shift. Like when you talk about empowering people, which by the way, I love that, Amy. I think that's a great message, not just for education, just the world in general.
Right.
Like
Right.
I try to always think about more broadly. Like, yes, we're both educators and teachers, but we are trying to make the world a better place.
Mhm.
And I think when you think globally about that, it is difficult because it is easy to get caught in the weeds,
And it's
like to think,
right.
oh, this isn't going to work.
Right. And we were all raised, right, the way we were raised. So that is also sometimes that's something that some people have to combat. Oh, I'm not smart, or oh,
Mhm.
I that's not a good idea. Oh, I'm not creative. But it takes a lot of things. It takes time. It takes authentic relationships, and it takes the bravery of pointing out to someone, yes, you may not think that's a special quality, but that is something you have that I don't have. As a matter of fact, I was just having this conversation with a peer at work today, and she was talking about her skill set, and other people have different skill sets, and how important it is to use that overused word of collaboration to blend those strengths and
Yeah.
skills for the bigger picture. So you're right, some people don't know how to say what they're good at or what they're proud of, so you've got to build that relationship with them, invest in them, help them see it, or even help them discover it. They may not even know what they're good at yet. So it takes the authenticity and, again, another overused word, those relationships. And then I also strongly believe in facilitating reflection. I think reflection is one of the most powerful tools that's not used very much. So I'm a big believer in the power of reflection, because you learn about yourself, you learn about the circumstances, you learn about other people. So just taking time to reflect, I think, is another skill that some people need to be taught, and that can lead to them having, I keep saying the word bravery, being willing to recognize, oh, that is something I'm good at. That is something I can contribute. Because another foundational thing, in my opinion, is people need and want and deserve to be valued. Their input matters, whether it's agree or disagree. Their input matters, and we have to value that. Whether we agree, whether we want to add to it, whether we want to take away from it, whatever it is, it's important that we value people's input, not judge it, but value it.
Mm. Amy, you got so many things that I was taking some notes. I was taking some notes. You
I
talked
told you
about
I talk a lot.
investment and it's great. By the way, where are you from?
I'm from Central Texas. Don't even try to tell me I have an accent, because I don't.
What? You definitely do.
I don't hear it.
You definitely.
I don't hear it.
Well, I
But
have a.
yes, I'm from,
Okay, so do I have an accent?
no,
Do I have an accent?
I don't hear
A lot
one.
of people think that I'm from New York. People think I'm from New York, but I'm not. But I let's put it this way. I love your non-accent.
I think probably the only time I hear it is when I talk about oil. I'm gonna go change the oil in my cars. That's really the only time I hear a distinct difference between what I say and what the rest of the world says. But and maybe when I say y'all and all right, but other than that, no, I don't think I have an accent at all. But I was born and raised in Central Texas, which is where I still am.
Nice, nice. Tell me, if you had to pick a word to describe you, what would it be?
Authentic. There's no hesitation there.
Mm.
Definitely authentic, transparent. What you see is what you get. The good, the bad, the ugly, the funny, the sad, the the honest, the questions, the curiosity. Authentic would definitely be the word that I would
I
use to
love,
describe myself. How
and it's
about
funny you
you?
say that because I was listening to. I would say positive.
Okay, that's
Solely for
important.
the fact that yeah, I have a glass I have a glass very full. Um, I'm not going to say that I never have a bad moment or a bad day
Sure.
because obviously that's just impossible.
Mhm.
But my lens of experience that I have throughout my life has given me so many let's say pauses. You know, where I've had to sit back. You talked about reflection. I'm a huge believer. So everybody listening to Amy and myself, like reflection is big. It's how we become better people and also how we think deeply about our own lives. Um, and there's lots of ways to reflect. Like it's not always easy, but even starting with something even just small can be
Right.
really helpful. So for me, I would say that I'm positive. And you mentioned authentic, and I'll ask you this. I want you to give me a number. So if I say to you, on a scale of 1 to 10, and don't pick your best moment or your worst moment.
Mhm.
Just take a
Okay.
second and just give me a number. On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in yourself?
9.
So, do you think that I'm surprised by that?
No, I don't.
Why do you say that?
Well, I told you I'm transparent, right? I told you I'm authentic because I I tell it like it is, and that sounds like not very nice, but I'm not good at playing games or manipulation or things like that. So I've had multiple people tell me I come across as confident, but to me, that's almost synonymous with authentic. Because even when I'm wrong, I'm
Mhm.
confident that I'm wrong, Shap. I mean, I'm confident that I'm wrong. I'm okay being wrong. I'm okay failing first. I'm okay saying I'll try it, and if it doesn't work, let's figure it out. I work with some amazing staff, and I tell them, look, as long as it's not illegal, let's try it. Let's try it. If it's going to help kids, and if it's going to help
Right.
staff, and it's going to help families, let's try it. Let's think outside the box. Now, we don't have unlimited funds or time or humans, but I'm not going to stifle ideas. I'm okay with failure. Failure is just a step towards success. And I believe that with every fiber of my being. So I think authentic and confident, they could be a little synonymous.
I think they definitely are. And the reason I say that is because when you said to me 9, right? I am not surprised at all you said that because people that tend to be authentic, genuine, real, they tend to be confident in themselves because if they weren't confident, they'd be putting on a facade. They'd
Exactly.
be much more worried about what people think about them. And I really believe that's something that when it comes to teaching students, I think that teaching them to be their best selves is critical. I always say be your best you, not the best of somebody else. And
Right. And
again,
I
that's
think
hard. No, go
it's
on,
hard for
please.
students. I'm sorry, it's hard for students because they're young and they haven't figured out what their best self is yet. And they're going to make mistakes. I mean, let's be honest. Even as adults, we still make mistakes. We're not our best all the
Every
time.
day.
Yeah, we all
Yeah.
have tempers. We all have, we all get hangry, all those things. But even for students especially, I think it's very difficult because they don't know what their best is yet. They're still figuring it out. That's why I think empowerment and encouragement is so important, and no judgment. If you made a mistake, what'd you learn from it? You either win or you learn. There's no win or lose. You win or you learn. So super important it's important to me to create a culture of it's okay to make a mistake. And I tell everyone, it usually takes me 20-25 bad ideas to get to one decent one. So just throw out the idea. Let's process it together. When I was a principal, I met with my AP and our instructional specialist every Friday. And, we had to go around and talk about this. And I'm also an idea person, Craig. So I have lots of ideas. I'm not saying they're all good, but I have lots of ideas. I'm also not a detail person. I'm the big picture girl. So it took me 3 years working with this wonderful, wonderful lady to figure out that when she said, let me think about that, that really meant, lady, you crazy. That's never going to work. So I would be throwing out these ideas and she would be like, let me think about that. It took me 3 years to figure out that meant we're not doing that. And we're still friends today. And we still laugh about it. But I mean, I was authentic. She was
you're
authentic.
persistent.
And she was just a little bit more polite in the way she communicated that was a crazy idea.
Right. Exactly. But I think again, that's something where we should always, and again, this is not just education. We should always be willing to try new things. And again, the things we try should be, I mean, they should be things that we believe are going to be successful. Like when somebody says, hey, I have these big ideas, there's a difference between a stupid big idea and a smart big idea. They both
reasonable.
might not work, but
Right.
there's a huge difference. I mean, that's just kind of like, how do we, and again, it's difficult because your mindset, I loved when you talked about, I'm a big idea girl, because I think, you know what getting caught in the weeds is, right?
Absolutely.
So many people that I work with that I've known I've been in education for 36 years. The number of people that will say to me, so this is what I say all the time. So throughout my life, I've written a book. I'm a competitive power lifter. I'm a podcaster. I'm an educator. I'm a fitness person. I've done these things, and it's not bragging about it. It's all about just being willing to have these ideas and put them out there.
That's right.
So many people will say, "Oh my God, Shap, how you doing that? Oh my God, what do you do?" And I always say, like, listen, if you don't take the risk, somebody else will. And that's one of the most critical lessons I've ever learned is if you're not willing to put yourself out there, somebody else will do it for you. So
right.
Better off that it's you.
Right. And I take it a step further and encourage people to take a risk that's tied to their passion. Don't just take a risk for risk's sake. If it's something that you're passionate about and something you're willing to learn from, then go for it. I'd never been on a podcast until 2 years ago. Brian Martin, shout out to Brian Martin, Teaching Champions. He had me on as a guest. Never done it before. But I mean, he's fabulous. He has a wonderful podcast. I was very lucky to do that. But I reached out and said, would you consider having someone that's not an author yet, that's not well known in the education circle yet? Just somebody with my experience and these are the roles I've held. Would you be interested? It was worth asking. All he could do was say yes or no. And I would be okay with either one because then I'm just going to go ask someone else. So it's not just the matter of taking a risk, it's tying the risk to your passion. So you're passionate about powerlifting, and I love that because it shows all of those things you listed. It really shows that we're not just what our title is. We're not just educators. We're whole people. And I love that you have all those interests and you share those. And I was thinking about that the other day about your powerlifting. And I was thinking, not only are you doing powerlifting in work, Craig, but you're also doing powerlifting in the education community. You're doing powerlifting with people's egos, with their strengths, with encouragement. It You're doing a lot of lifting through the power of your words. So I want to be sure and thank you for that, because it's super special and it shows that you're a whole person and that you're not perfect. And it's okay that you're not defined as an educator. You've got other interests, you've got other skills, and that's what makes a whole person. So I appreciate all the powerlifting that you're doing, not only in your weights, but in all of your work that you do.
Oh, thank you, Amy. It makes me, I really feel humbled by that. And I think that your message is critical too, because when people ask me about like what I do, I will generally say I'm a wellness educator. I
Ah,
don't say health and physical education. I say wellness, because that is what, that
that's
is
right.
what I try to embody
Right.
every single day, every day through, even through a podcast. We
Mhm.
are trying to embody wellness for anybody who watches and
That's
listens to
right.
this. That's what we're trying
That's
to
right.
embody. And I think that comes from, just our authentic conversation, and um, just you being a really good listener, which I think is a critical skill. Just hearing you, it's so obvious that the people that you work with are so lucky to have you.
Oh, you're very kind. You're very kind. Thank you for that. I just finished my 32nd year. So I started when I was 10 um, in public ed, and I've held so many roles.
Nobody's gonna. Oh my god, nobody's gonna
Uh,
catch that.
let's hope not. I do remember a funny story when right after I got my doctorate in the district I was working in, they asked me to do the speech for the National Junior Honor Society. So of course, I'm happy to do that whether I got my doctorate or not. But yes, of course. And one of my very best friends, her daughter was in the audience getting inducted. So they read my, I guess, my vita or my job history, whatever you want to call it. They gave them a little bit about my background. I did my speech. It was all over. It went well. I'd like to think if I can make the audience laugh, at least 3 or 4 times, I feel like it was a success. But when it was all over, we went to dinner, and my best friend's daughter said, uh, "You know what this girl next to me said about you?" I said, "No, but I definitely want to know." And remember, they're in junior high, so there's your disclaimer. She said that girl leaned over to me and said, "I don't know what this lady has to offer. She can't even hold a job."
God.
Because when they'd read my experience, they'd read that I was a classroom teacher, and then I was a speech pathologist, and then I was
Yeah.
the progression. But just her
Mhm.
interpretation of it got you humbled, just like that, out of the mouths of babes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and again, it gets you thinking. That kind of like leads right into like this time we're spending together, right? It's hearing
Hmm.
all your experiences. What do you want people? Kind of like just getting really going, but what do you want people to get out of our time together? Like now that we've kind of got it rolling a little bit. If somebody said to you, "Hey, Amy, what is going to be an important message or messages that people get?" What would you say?
Well, I have a lot of them. I told you at the beginning I talk a lot and I talk really fast, and I apologize, but I have a lot of messages. Um, the most important, I think, honestly, would be authentic, be willing to fail in order to learn, and don't think that you have to have all the answers all the time for everything. Find people that you can be authentic with and learn with. And as Josh Tovar says quite a lot, iron sharpens iron. Um, but it's the authenticity and the willingness to learn. Release those facades. Don't try to impress people. Just be who you are. And if the people you're around don't appreciate that, then if you can change your circle, change your circle. It takes work, it takes time, but be authentic and let's learn together. We've got to be able to learn together. That's the only way things are going to get better. And speaking in the realm of education, that's the only way things are going to get better for our students and for our peers,
Hmm.
right? Is if we learn better. right? Nobody's perfect. Nobody expects perfection, just progress, a little bit of progress. And I'm going to circle back to when you talked about reflection, because like I said, that's really important to me. I do it a lot, sometimes not even intentionally, let's be honest. When people hear reflection, I know a lot of people think meditation and, light the candles and and I'm reflecting. And I don't do that. I reflect usually when I'm in the car because I don't listen to music. I hear noise all day, so I want some peace and quiet. Um, so I do a lot of my reflecting in the car. So it's not anything that has to be a process, an official process, but it takes practice to take a step back, think about the situation, not only from your perspective, but from other people's perspective, and then ask yourself, what do I have to learn from this? What is there anything I can learn? The answer is always yes, by the way. So really the work comes in, what can I learn from this? And I mean, let me just give you a perfectly honest example. I messaged you before we started and said, I don't have a link. And you were like, it was with the invitation. And I was like, I got it. Well, I had not gone to the calendar. So, I mean, it's okay. It's okay to learn. It's okay to make mistakes. Be authentic. Be willing to learn. That's how we're all going to get better. That's how you become a part of better. Not perfect. Nobody wants you to be perfect, but just be a part of better. And what part of better is that going to be for you? Now, that almost sounded like a tongue twister. I probably couldn't say that again if I wanted to. Be a part of better. What part of better is going to be better for you? Oh, I did say it again.
That was good. That was good.
Thanks.
I am
So
gonna I'm gonna push back on one thing.
Okay.
I had this conversation with students a lot, and it's actually something that I speak a lot about. You talked about be willing to fail, right? So I will tell
Yes,
you that I do not believe in failure, and
I agree with you.
I'll tell
I've
you
heard you, and I agree with you.
I'll tell you why, because I think that okay, let's just say we're doing our podcast, and I mean it's going great, but let's say it wasn't. Okay,
Sure.
I would never look at that as failure.
Right.
I would look at it as it just didn't go as well as I would have liked, so we revisit it and do it again, right? I think when
Exactly.
people think about failure, they think about fail. That is kind of ingrained in our society. If you think about just grades, what does an F mean?
Right.
It means fail.
Failure. Mhm.
That's so toxic. So you're telling me that if this student and failure, let's say, is a 60, let's say that's the number, and this student works really hard and they get a 59.9, somebody says, man, Amy, you failed. What? Are you freaking kidding me? You didn't fail.
Right.
I wouldn't even say, I would say that did you get better? Did you learn? Do you know?
That would be my
Go on, I'm
question.
sorry.
What was your score before that? Because I celebrate progress,
Exactly.
not perfection. And fail. I love acronyms. If anyone has listened to me on any other podcast, I love acronyms. I actually think in acronyms, which is really
Yep.
kind of twisted, but it is what it is. So for me, FAIL stands for focus and improved learning. FAIL, focus and improved learning. So what'd you learn from that experience? But I'm going to join you in that, trying to eliminate the word failure. It's just an experience. What'd you learn from it? I also don't use the word should when I have interactions. And I do that because, number one, I think it sounds elitist, like you should do this and you should do that. And then I always tell people, and you might need to edit this, it'll be your choice, obviously, as the host. I like to tell people, don't shit on me. And they're like, did you just curse? I'm like, no, I said, don't should on me. If I'm not going to should on you, don't should on me. Let's just have an honest conversation about what we think is best for this situation and what we can each contribute. So I agree with you. I think we maybe not eliminate the word fail, but redefine it and contextualize it in the sense of learning opportunities. That's why I define it as focus and improve learning.
I love, and I think what you just said, Amy, is mainly my point, is we have to conceptualize it differently. Like,
Right.
because what happens in society, in education, and just in the world itself is if somebody does not get, let's say, a job. So I go for an interview. I don't get the job. Man, crap, I fail. What? How? How did I fail? It didn't work out for whatever reason. It doesn't
Right.
mean I failed. And
Right.
students will say, well, what if you try something and give up? And I'll say to them, if I try something and I give up, I didn't fail. I just wasn't interested in keeping going. So
Exactly.
that's not failure. There's a huge difference. Now, obviously, if everything that we do doesn't work, we need to kind of revisit why it's not working.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
like if I'm trying one thing and it doesn't work and it's something else. So those are things that, first of all, I'm an acronym person myself. So, and by the way, everybody, really quickly, before I forget, please subscribe to our channel. Check it out. Please subscribe, like, share. I am an acronym lover. So here you go. You ready for this acronym?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Happy, honest,
Okay.
appreciative, positive, patient, you.
Love it. I'm going to have to write that down and make a little Adobe Express sign. So let me write that down. Say it again.
Honest,
Honest.
appreciative.
I got the you, by the way, but I didn't get the words in between. Okay. Appreciative.
Positive.
Okay.
Patient.
Positive. You.
Yep.
Okay.
And sometimes I'll take the patient and change it with persistent.
Okay. I like it.
So
I love that.
Yep.
I'm always thinking in acronyms. I'll tell you a funny story. I've been married 23 years to my Prince Charming and the love of my life. And he learned real quickly that I think and speak in acronyms. We were at some function, I don't know what it was, and it doesn't matter. And I was like, we were working on some basic sign language back then, just the no and the yes. But I said, hey, I leaned over and I said, TTG. He was like, what? I said, TTG. He goes, I love you. What does that mean? I said, time to go. He said, babe, just say time to go. It's okay. I said, well, I'm trying to be discreet. He goes, no, you're just making stuff up. So I have to be careful. I have to be careful about my acronym.
I like that. That was good though. Oh my God, I'm always using hold on, what was? Oh God, I wish I could remember some of the other acronyms that I've used. I'm always using them because it helps me remember things.
Absolutely.
It's in the mnemonic. It helps you remember stuff. So it's just another tool in our toolbox.
Absolutely. And I was thinking about what you said, like the example of the job interview.
Mm-hmm.
I've been on plenty of job interviews that didn't work out. Notice I didn't say I failed. Didn't work out for a reason. So the way I look at it is it wasn't a good fit. So it's another F word, but it just wasn't a good fit for whatever reason. And I have to trust that being true to myself is more important than tweaking who I am and changing who I am to fit into someone else's mold. So
I
get it. I love that example you said about the job interview. It's not a failure. In my words would be, it just wasn't a fit.
Yeah. Do you know what? I got this acronym from a colleague. This is a shout out to Julia Skolnick. She's going to be on the podcast. Super smart, brain science person, really smart. You know what TAP is?
I could make it up, but I'll let you tell me.
Trust, agency, and passion.
Oh, I like it.
And here's how I'll spin that. I'll spin it like this. So for everybody listening and watching Amy and I like to think of it this, is if you do not trust yourself and others, you are not going to have the agency to be willing to take a risk. If you don't have that agency, you are going to have so much difficulty finding your passion. On the other hand, if you trust yourself and you trust other people, you will have that agency. And if you don't know what agency means, it just means being willing to take some chances, being willing to put yourself out there. And once you do that, you have a much greater chance of finding a passion. And I'll simply state, when I said to people a couple months ago I was going to do a podcast,
Hmm.
people would be like, "Oh my God, Shaq, what the heck are you doing?" And I'm like, "No, no, why are you saying that?" And
Right.
people would be like, "Oh, I don't mean anything." I'm like, "No, no, 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 you said it. Why are you saying that? Do you not trust me? Do you not trust my ability to do it? Do you not believe that I am willing to take that risk? And don't you think I have that passion?" And it kind of got them thinking. And I was like, those are skills that we need to be teaching all of the time, whether you are an administrator or all the way down to just a student, teaching people to first of all trust themselves and to trust others is
Right.
critical. That's a
And
societal thing.
absolutely. And you can't trust until you talk about judgment.
Yep.
Because I'm not going to trust you if you're going to judge me. Kind of like the video you put out a couple of days ago about giving the dollar. If you're going to judge me,
Oh,
then I'm not
yes.
going to trust you. So it's very hard for people to suspend judgment. It's human nature. I totally get it. Another thing I work on saying over and over again, you're not shocked about that with my team, is it's we go, not ego. We got to put our egos to
Oh,
the side. We're going as a team, as a collective powerhouse. There are no egos. I mean, there are egos, right? But let's focus on we go, not ego. And again, you got to
mm.
trust that they're going to do that, and they're not going to trust you if you're going to judge them. So it all kind of wraps up back, in my opinion, to authenticity. You can say something to me and I can disagree with you, excuse me, without judging you. Then you're going to trust me more that I can say, you know what? I don't agree with that, but I see your point.
And
There you go.
ooh, that's called perspective.
Hmm.
We
Right.
haven't even talked about that, but that's something that is, I find that when we're having this conversation, which by the way is amazing, it the we go not ego, that goes back to confidence, because ultimately what it comes down to is, when you were talking about, for those people who don't know, I did a very very short YouTube clip. I hope you'll watch it. It's called The Dollar, and basically it was just about me me being away visiting my son in North Carolina and having seeing a homeless person on the street, and I was with my wife, and we were at a light, and I had $1 in my wallet, and he came up and I gave him the dollar. He had a sign that said like veteran, and I had this long conversation with my son, his girlfriend, and my wife about it. And the conversation was just around, well, you don't know what he's going to do with that money. And it was like, listen, I don't care. I don't care. I'm
That's
not
right.
judging him. I don't know his circumstance. I don't know it. But all I know is that that dollar is going to be way more important for him than it is me. Even if he
Hmm.
doesn't use it for what I would hope he would, who
Right.
am I to play God? That is his choice. And I think, again, that goes back to this whole thing about being willing to be truly who you are, which is not easy. It is not
It's not
easy to
easy.
do that.
It's not easy because I think society, the pressures of society, I think social media contributes, lots of things contribute to it, the way you were raised. I think a lot of people value what other people think. And I think there's a reasonable level of that. I think you have to be conscientious, right, about how you're perceived, and is it authentic to who you are and what your values are and what your beliefs are and what your passions are. But there's also a point to where you have to say, I'm not worried about what they think because I'm true to me. I'm true to what I
Oh,
believe. Um, I'm also not a worrier, Craig,
yes.
and that worries my siblings. I have 5 siblings, and one of them always tells me, Amy, I worry that you don't worry. I'm like, good, then you're worrying for both of us, because it is what it is. And it's not that I don't care what other people think. I care what other people think, but I care more about being authentic than creating some facade to make someone else happy. And it's not always the popular opinion. And I
Mm.
lead the same way. I lead and say, put it out here. Throw out your opinions, throw out your thoughts. Let's be authentic. We don't have to agree, but let's put it on the table, mix it up, and make something happen from it. Let's create something from it, some kind of progress, some kind of growth. So one thing I did this year differently for our group is I made some signs. They're not professional. They're letters that I cut out and I glued them on a poster board. I'm trying to remember even what they say now. One says accomplished a goal, and the word accomplished is in block letters, empty white block letters. The other one said faced a hard situation, and the word faced is in white empty block letters. And I'm trying, you'd think I'd remember it because I made it, but hold on. What was it? What did the other one say? Learned something new. How could I forget that one? And the word learned is in bold, big block letters, and they were white. They were empty. So I got some of those garage sale dots that you can buy. They're all different colors. And every
Yep.
time we met, they were spread across the table. And I asked people, I don't want your name on it. I don't want your initials. I don't want a picture. Just go put a dot within the letters of the word that you feel like you've accomplished this month. So if you learn something new, go put a dot in one of those letters on that poster. And so I always gave them dot time is what we called it. And they could put up 20 dots or one dot or no dot. It was anonymous. It was, you don't have to explain it. You can do it after we leave. They were up all year long. And we celebrated that kind of progress, not perfection. We celebrated, look how many things we learned. Look how many hard things we faced as a team. And I think it was fairly successful because what I was trying to do was change the mindset, change the culture of don't try to be perfect. Because, in special education, it's a very compliant driven field. And it's very,
Yes.
very easy for people to say you're right or you're wrong, right? You're legal or you are illegal. So this year we bought, well, they may not know that, but now that they're listening, they're going to know. We bought neon colored garage sale dots. So this year, same beautiful posters, but different colored dots, because I want to continue to facilitate that progress mindset. We're celebrating progress, not perfection. Whether you learn something new, face something hard, or accomplished a goal. And it could be a baby goal. It could be a big goal. You don't have to tell us. Just do your dots.
I love that. I love that. And that's so forward. It's so forward thinking. What you did is you talked about big idea, right?
Mm-hmm.
You took a big idea and you simplified it into something that people could easily understand, which is, by the way, that's an art.
Thank you. And
That's an art.
visualize. That's what was
It is.
important to me, because I can talk all day long.
It is.
Don't even worry about that.
Yep.
I had a talkathon when I was little to raise money for Jerry's kids. I had a talkathon, so there's that. And I did raise money, and I did go on TV to give them my check. I didn't get to meet him, but here in the local area, I was on TV giving them my check for my talkathon because I raised money for talking. But it was also a visual representation for them. So anybody can
Yes.
totally use that idea. I think it would be super effective in a classroom for the whole year. Let kids put dots up there or whatever you want to do. They can draw a star or whatever they want to do. Just some kind of visual representation of progress.
I love that. I love
I
it.
mean, it can be done with family members, right? It could be done with kids. It could be done in a classroom. It could be done like with our staff. We have assessment team, secretaries, and it's been pretty good. And of course, there were times we were joking about, you need a dot for that. Don't forget your dot. And sometimes they would even email us or text us, those of us that are in the office all the time, put a dot for me on such and such and such. So it became kind of a cultural language. So that's why I want to continue it this year with the neon colored dots. Now I don't know what I'm gonna do next year, but I'll figure something. Maybe we'll go to stars. I don't know.
We do stars.
Okay.
We do something called superstars.
Okay.
So we have students create their own star. Now, what they do is it doesn't have to be a star. I always say to them, so we have cutout stars.
Right.
They don't have to do a star. They can make anything that's important to them. So they can make a musical instrument out of construction paper. And on the construction paper, they will put down something about them that they're proud of, something that makes them special, a challenge that they like to overcome, a goal that they have, and one thing about them that nobody knows. And we talk about it throughout the semester. Like, just like, hey, remember what you put on your store. And it kind of goes back to that visual, creative representation where everybody has an opportunity to do something different. And they'll be like, Shap, where's your star? And I'm like, listen, I am good at a lot of things, but I suck at art. And they just will laugh. And I'm like, it's true. Like, that's not my skill set. You know, and they're like, well, it could be. And I'm like, yes, it could, but I don't care about it.
Right.
Exactly. And I'm going to, before I forget about this, I want to touch on this quick before we kind of talk about some challenges and stuff. It drives my kids crazy that I don't give a poop. I don't care what anybody thinks of me. And it drives my kids nuts. They're like, oh my God, Dad, you don't give a crap. And I'm like, I don't. And they're like, why is that? I said, I'll tell you why. If I am coming out each day and trying to make the world a better place,
right,
and I'm trying to make a difference in people's lives, and I'm trying to improve my own life, then why would I worry about what somebody else is thinking? That's silly. I'm doing what I can do to make a difference.
Right. I'm not going to spend my energy on that.
Exactly.
I'm not going to spend my energy or my focus on something that I can't control. I'm going to spend my energy and my focus on what I can control, which is, you know, my attitude, my energy, my mindset, things like that. My food, right? Things like important things like that.
Yes. Do you know what the 4 Ds are?
No, but I want to hear it.
Here we go. 4 Ds. Let's see if I got them all, because sometimes I forget them, even though they're in my room. Okay, let's see. Dedication, determination, discipline, and desire.
I like that.
Those 4 Ds.
I
had a guy I used to coach with. His name was Bob Ayton. Bob, shout out to you, brother. Miss you. He taught me about the 4 Ds. Think about it. Dedication, determination, desire. What was the other one?
Dedication. Discipline?
Discipline, yes, thank you. Those 4 things. Those 4 Ds, they're game changers. You show me somebody who's got those 4. You show me somebody who's dedicated, who has desire, who has discipline and determination. I'll show you somebody who's doing real well.
But on the flip side of that, you don't have to have all those 100%.
Exactly.
If you are aware of those and you're doing your best effort on 1, 2, 3, or even all 4, then kudos to you. You've got to contextualize it for yourself. What do those mean to you? Not what do those mean for the person that made the poster or the person that gave the speech. I'm reminded of a Twitter or an X exchange I had with George Couros just a couple of days ago. He was talking about the 5-minute rule, about how when it comes to something you don't want to do, like working out is the example we were talking about. He said the 5-minute rule is do it for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, if you want to quit, but do 5 minutes, a 5-minute rule. And whether it's working out or whatever else it is that you really don't want to do, but you know you need to do, try it for 5 minutes. So I did. I set an alarm. I have so many alarms on my phone. It's not even funny. But I have one that says 5 minutes. Don't overthink it. Just do it. And it's worked. The couple times that I've tried it so far, it's worked. And so that is a level of determination. That's a level of dedication. That's a level of discipline. I'm not perfect at it, but I'm aware of it and I'm making efforts to improve, not be perfect, just to be better.
Well, those are as a wellness person, something I talk about all the time is when I train people, like in fitness, one of my first questions is, well, first of all, what are your goals? I'll ask them what their goals are, right? And then I'll say to them, how many days a week are you willing to train? And they'll say, oh, like 5. And I'll say to them, okay, well, right now you're doing 0. So you're going to do 5. And they're like, well, oh, no, 3. Well, no, you just said 5. Is it 5 or 3? Oh, no, 2. And I'll be like, listen, I'm not trying to get you to pick a number. Just tell me what you're going to do. If it's 2, awesome. Awesome. If it's 1, awesome. But you've got to hold yourself, and you got to hold yourself accountable. Like, to me, something that I am incredibly passionate about is being accountable, is for the good and the not so good. If I mess up, I got to own that crap. If I do something well, I should own that as well. I shouldn't poo-poo it. If I say to you, oh, Amy, you know what? I really love that top. And you say, oh, no, I don't really like this. Really? I just gave you a compliment. Freaking take the compliment.
Right.
Exactly.
Then why are you wearing it?
Yeah, take it.
Thank you. Right.
That's it.
Right. And that reminds me of a... Right. I'm sorry.
No, go on. It's okay.
I interrupted you. I'm sorry. I told you I would do that, and I apologize. I remember that from James Clear's newsletter. I think it was last week. And he said something like, I'm not going to remember the exact word, but I got the message. The importance of consistency, to kind of follow up on what you were saying, is do less than you're capable of consistently. Doing less than you're capable of consistently is better than doing the most you can possibly do inconsistently.
Oh.
Now, that's Amy word. Those are Amy words. It's way too many words. He was much more succinct than that. But the message, I was just sharing that with a different coworker today, and we were talking about working out, and I shared that with her, and she went, oh, so 10 minutes? I said, 10 minutes is 10 minutes. If that's what you want to do it consistently. If you can't do 10 minutes a day consistently, do 5. And then, of course, I launched into the George Couros 5 comment. But yes, I thought that was powerful too. You don't have to be 100% consistent all the time. That's not the goal, right? The goal is to be consistent with what you can be consistent with. And I love accountability also. Oh, go ahead.
If you start with, it doesn't have to be fitness, it can be anything. If you start with one day.
Right.
One day. So on Monday, I came into school and I held the door for somebody. Man, next Monday, I held the door for again. Oh, man, you know what? Next Monday, I did it again. Oh, you know what? It's getting pretty easy. Oh, no, I'm going to try it on Tuesday. Oh, before you know, it's called habit stacking. You start the habit stack where you make little steps that lead to other steps. Instead of the step being here, it starts here and you stack it. And what happens with so many people, both in education and in the world, is they do a lesson, the lesson doesn't go as planned. And their first immediate impact is, oh, God, that sucked. No. Tell me something from the lesson that went well. One thing.
Right.
Now, you got the one thing. Now let's build on that one thing. And yes, you might have to get rid of some of the other things.
Right.
But you got the one thing. That is, in general, for everything. It's like just getting upset about something. Hey, there's a spoon in the sink. Oh my God, I can't believe that freaking spoon in the sink. You're worrying about the spoon in the sink. Change the narrative. Your sink is almost totally empty.
And here, I can't believe you said that, because I leave stuff in the sink all the time. And here's my justification. I do it at work. I do it at home. I'm leaving it there until I have enough to wash. Or I will soak my coffee cup or soak whatever it is. And then honestly, when I come back to wash it, it's so much easier. That's why I don't mind doing laundry. Why? Because there's a built-in break between the washer and the dryer. There's a built-in break. I am all about that. Absolutely. And even sometimes when you stack, like you were talking about, you're going to fall off. And that's okay, because what did you learn from that? What were you trying to do too much? Were you trying to go too fast? Were you trying to live up to someone else's expectations? I mean, I was working out every day for probably 6 months. And then things happened. You know, my dad passed away, and
Yeah,
grief is a big deal. Grief can
it
consume you
is.
if you let it. And then I've got knee problems. I'm just old, and so it was just easy to come up with all these excuses. Um,
Yes.
but you know, if I can't do anything with my knees until I get them replaced, yes, that's how old I am. But I can kick rear with my upper body and my abs. I mean, that doesn't involve my knees. So I'm back. I'm not perfect. I've lowered the time that I'm working out every day, but that's okay because I'm doing less than I'm capable of as long as it's consistent. And then I'll raise it back up eventually. Just what did I learn from
And
falling
you
off
and
that
you're
stack of habits?
and you're doing something. I think what
Right,
happens in society, and this is going to go back to like what challenges have you faced? We tend to be, and you said process, not perfection, which I've gotten in my brain now. That is
hmm
so true. I can tell you that I am very, very much a I don't want to say a perfectionist, but I'll say that I am definitely somebody who loves to do things well. I don't want to say perfectionist, but I love to do
right,
things well. But I also believe that the process to getting to that point of doing it well is so gratifying. Is if something is always so easy, you're not challenging yourself enough. If
right,
everything is a piece of cake, then you are unwilling to take that risk. And that kind of leads to
right.
tell me some of the main challenges that you've had in your life and how you've overcome them.
Oh, where to begin? Where to begin? So many. Well, I'm the youngest of six. Does that count as a challenge? Um,
Sure.
trying to get my parents' attention around the dinner table. We had to raise our hands, Craig, to talk. And they always called on me last because they knew when I started, that was it. It was over.
You were
Uh,
talking.
absolutely. Um, I mean, I had a challenge when I went to junior college. I knew I wanted to be a teacher when I was in fifth grade. I knew that. In fifth grade, I was going to work with kids with special needs. I just didn't know how or when, right? Because I was young. So when I went to junior college, I succumbed to the pressure and the temptation and the lure of computer technology and computer programming. I mean, this is how old I am. That's where the money was in writing programs. So I forgot all my passions. I pushed those to the side and I took a computer programming class. And I wrote a program that wouldn't stop looping. So the professor pulled me aside and said, I don't really think this is for you. I said, but I wrote the program. He said, yes, but it's supposed to stop and you put a comma instead of a period. And I said, well, that's just a detail. He said, that's why this field is not for you. So went back right back to my passion. And then another challenge that I faced is when I was getting my doctorate. My chair moved out of state, so we had to do everything, Zoom, which was
Mhm.
it was okay. Um, but I got so here was my schedule. Probably too much information, but here was my schedule. Get up at 7, work all day as a special ed director in a public school, come home, have dinner with my husband, usually about an hour, go into the office at the house, work on my doctorate. We had a dog, a little Boston Terrier named Roxy Maya, who has since passed away. But when she had to go to the bathroom, that's when I took a break. So I worked on my doctorate till probably 1, 2 a.m.
Oh.
Slept in the guest room on the bed, not in the bed, because then you're way too comfortable and you're not going to get up. So sleep on the bed, get back up at 6:15, go to work. So I was on that cycle. And so that didn't last very long, by the way, probably about 6 weeks. But in the middle of that cycle, I was meeting with my chair one night via Zoom, and I would send her work, right, chapter work, and then the next night she would give me feedback, back and forth, back and forth. So this one night she sent me the feedback, and I was listening, and I took all the notes, and then as soon as we hung up or disconnected, I started working like a fiend, and I was like, "Yeah, I am on it." I'm worked and worked and worked and worked. Guess what? I didn't save it.
Oh man.
So
Oh.
chapter five went bye bye. You talk about a challenge. My husband had to say, "There's no crying in the doctoral program." So I knew, I went and found every tech person I knew to please try to find it, please try to find it, and nobody could find it because I started working on it before I saved it. I saved it as I
Yeah.
went, but I didn't save it in the first place. So that
Yeah.
was a huge challenge. I was very tempted to give up, but I didn't because I thought, no, 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 this is about me. It's not about chapter 5. So I redid chapter 5 and obviously finished. But though that was a pretty big challenge for me. Um, I think for everyone, losing a parent is a really big challenge. I've learned
I've
a
lost
lot.
both.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I just
Yep.
lost mine in April on the eclipse day. Leave it to my dad to
Oh,
leave
I'm
on a
sorry.
spectacular day because he was a spectacular man.
Uh,
Um, but it's astonishing to me how it impacts every single thing you do, how it impacts
oh,
your mindset, your energy. I mean, I for someone that talks a lot, I'm still speechless as I continue to process the impact because I thought, oh, I'll just compartmentalize that, and when it's over, no, that's not true. So
no,
that's an ongoing
no.
challenge that I'm learning to handle. I'm not perfect at it, but through reflection, circling back through reflection, I'm like, okay, what am I learning from these emotions? What am I
Hmm.
learning to be better with it next time or to help someone else if they go through it? So those are just a few of the challenges that I've been through that I think probably a lot of people could relate to.
I love it. How about a few things that you're most proud of?
Well, finishing the doctoral program after losing chapter 5, I'm pretty proud of that. Um, let's see. I am proud that I have stuck to my authentic self and my passion of helping students with special needs, and not just students. My passion branches out to the students, the staff that work with them, and their families. So I realize that I'm very unique in that because there are districts that will say, oh, you want to support families, then you can't also support us, because it's always in special ed, like I mentioned, people think it has to be adversarial, but it
Hmm.
doesn't. So that's one of my passions, is informing everyone involved in the process, informing all the stakeholders of the information, their rights, how it works, basically eliminating the power poker that comes with the
Oh,
special ed process. That's one of my passions, and again, it's unique because people don't think that you can help parents and help school districts at the same time, but you can. But you can. I've been a director in the special education realm for, this is math, so I could be wrong. I'm going to say 13 years, and I have had 4 due process filings in 13 years. Now, again, not
wow.
bragging because you asked, but it's
No.
about knowing what people need to know, being authentic about what procedures are, what their rights are, what the time. I mean, I could go on and on and on. That's a whole nother show. But that's how I work with parents. That's how I work with families. And I just tell them, I'm going to tell you like it is, not like you want to see it. The timeline is this. Let's look at a calendar. Here's the date you want it. Here's the date we have to have it done. It's going to fall somewhere in between there. So take a breath. I'm just very transparent. So I'm proud of the fact that I've stayed true to what I value. I also am working on books. I'm working on books. It's going to be a book series, perhaps. I have been, thank you. I feel like I'm in the game, Craig, because I have been rejected by every publisher I've submitted to. So there's that. It's not a failure. It's just, what can I learn from that?
Just keep
I've had
doing
lots
it.
of, that's what I'm doing. Lots of different ideas that people have thrown out. Have you thought about this? Have you thought about that? So I'm still processing. I'm still reflecting. How can I refine my plan? And it doesn't have to be it's my plan, but how can I refine that so it serves the people I want the information to serve? Not so it serves
Hmm.
my vision. How does it serve the people that I want it to serve? So
Hmm.
that's something else I'm proud of. I could go on and on, but I'll tell you one more thing. Also proud of the fact that I took the jump, I took the risk, and started my own LLC, got my own website up with the help of a wonderful sister-in-law who, um, thank you. As an ADHD adult, if you know people that are ADHD, a really good strategy is body doubling. That's just having someone in the room. They don't have to help you, but they're
Yep.
there Some people would call it moral support. Well, because of her, that's how my website got launched, because she accidentally pushed the publish button, but it works. It's fine. It's done. So I'm pretty proud of that. Now it's a work in progress. It's not perfect, but it's a work in progress. But I'm proud of that because that's now a channel, or a way, I guess I should say, for me to channel my passions and get that information out there and hopefully connect with people that I can help, whether it's families, campuses, districts, whomever it is, advocates, organizations, however I can connect. It's just another step in getting that done.
What's the name of your website?
It's very original. Are you ready? DrAmyPerez.com.
I knew it was going to.
I mean, I had all kinds of names. Let me tell you, I'm also an overthinker, Craig. So I thought about that for probably a year and a half. I got so technical. It wasn't even funny, but finally just let all that go. Took the advice of the people that have successful websites and just put my name out there. Just put it out there. So it's DrAmyPerez.com.
There you go, everybody. Go to that website. Go to it.
Yep.
I'm telling you right now. Check it out.
Yep. Go soon.
Tell me something. Tell me something though. Before we close, I want you to tell me something about you that you're proud of that's more personal. Tell me something about you that you are really proud of. Not something that you've done for others.
Right.
Just a personal thing that you're really proud of.
I would have to say I'm proud that I continue to value and demonstrate authenticity. I'm proud that I don't acquiesce to the expectations of others. I don't acquiesce to trends. I'm very authentic. I'm very eclectic in my taste. It doesn't matter if you don't like it. I like it. I have shoes that light up. I like them. I wear them to work. I have jackets that have sequins. I like it. You don't have to like it. I'm authentic. So I'm proud of that, because it's very easy to just kind of, okay, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to say? I'm
Yes.
proud that I have resisted that temptation, even though there have been times when doing that could have gotten me a lot of gain, right? It could have maybe gotten me somewhere, but I'm really proud of that. I'll give you a very simple example. I interviewed for a job once, a job I didn't get, with 5 superintendents. It was for a special ed director for a co-op. And we were chatting and yada, yada, yada. And one of them was not in a good place. Is that the best way to say it? With their special ed data and programs. Anyway, so then we started talking salary and we were talking numbers, and you shoot for the moon, right? You land among the stars. Yeah. So I gave them a number. Their faces alone were pretty amusing. But then one of the superintendents said, that's more than some of us make. And again, another example of being authentic to myself. I said, and it wasn't even planned, this is how authentic it was. I feel like it's a pretty good thing I said. I said, you can't put a price on prevention. Boom. I still didn't get the job. But that's okay, because that's the truth. I was authentic to my message. If you don't want to get in trouble with special ed, if you want to be proactive, if you want to prevent negativity, you can't put a price on that. And that's the truth, because it's with anything. You don't know you missed it because you missed it. You can't be grateful for what you didn't know you missed. You can't be grateful for something that you didn't know you missed. I wrote a blog, and Renee Poff put it on her website, Grateful for Grace. And it's just a little blurb about being grateful for the grace that's given to me that I'm not even aware of. So being grateful for the grace that people provide me, not only the grace that I recognize and acknowledge and thank them for, but also for the grace that I'm not even aware of, that was grace that they just gifted me. So you can't just being grateful for grace that feel, and see, as well as what you don't know, feel, or see.
You got some great messages.
Thanks.
Very impressed. Hey, you got a closing thing that you'd like to share?
Well, I don't think I told you. I love your title of your podcast. That's what
Oh, what?
drew me right in, cutting the crap with Shap, because
What?
that's how my brain works. Let's cut through the crap. Let's get to the meat. Let's get it done. Let's knock it out. Let's process it. So
Yeah.
I do love that.
Thank you.
Probably a party message would be every single person, whether they realize it or not, has something to offer. So do the work to find the value in what every single person has to offer. It might not be everything they offer, right? There might be one thing that they have to offer. Out of all the 100 things they give you, maybe only one of them is the one you want to value the most, but everyone has something to offer. So we have to do the work to find what it is and value it and communicate that value with intention. You have to be intentional. And it's uncomfortable sometimes for some people, not for me, not for you, but for some people it can be uncomfortable. But that's how you empower people, is acknowledging things about them. So that would be probably my parting message. Find value in people and their contributions. Meet with people, treat people well, and don't value them based on their job or their title or their work. Value their contributions, value their thoughts, value their opinions. Find value, share it, intentionalize it, and celebrate it.
I love that, Amy. For everybody, what is the best way to get in contact with you? What's your ex? Your ex is Dr.
Grow to Know.
Dr. Grow to Know. I love that.
Yes, and it's know as in KNOW, not no.
Yeah.
It's KNOW.
Right.
It's because I want to grow in what I know. So it's Dr. Grow to Know.
Any other parting thoughts?
I don't think so. Just find the people that are your tribe, right? That have the same vibe, that are willing to let you learn with them and from them, just like you and me. We've never met in person, but we're both positive. We're both accepting. We're both non-judgmental. We're not perfect, but we are also not judging each other. So it's a comfortable place to mess up and learn something and grow and ask questions and actively listen. So do the work that it takes to create your circle. And your circle is going to change, because as you change, right, your circle is going to change. So just do the work. And I promise this is my last one. And you're going to quit asking. I'm going to quit answering. Do the work because you are worth it. Nobody else is going to do it, Craig. You have to do the work for you because you're worth it. And if you don't believe it, you call me and I'm going to tell you, or you email me, or you find me on my webpage, or you find me on Twitter, and I'm going to tell you that you're worth it. And you're eventually going to believe it. So do the work because you are worth it.
Oh, I love that. Everybody, I really feel blessed to have spent time with Amy. Just so many powerful messages, incredibly funny, and really, as she mentioned repeatedly, authentic in a very meaningful way to me, because I consider myself to be that as well. Somebody who's always trying to share. Again, please consider subscribing to the channel. Please share it out when you get a chance to watch or listen to our podcast. Please tell others to watch it as well. That's how it grows. And it's also how we become better people, which I think is the most critical message of all. We always are learning from each other.
Absolutely. And a trick that I do, well, it's not really a trick, it's really just a strategy, is when I find a podcast like yours, when I find an episode, I subscribe, and then when an episode comes up that I definitely want to listen to, like it gets on my listening list. I know this is probably silly, but I'm going to say it because I'm authentic and I'm transparent. I text it to myself. That's how I remember. So you can text podcast episodes to your friends. Do that. And then they don't have to log on to somewhere. They just click it and then there it is. So that's a great, that's a strategy I use to help me remember to listen to the awesomeness like yours.
Thank you, Amy. And again, we're on YouTube, Cutting the Crap with Shap. We're also on Spotify. If you'd like to be part of the podcast, I'd love to have you on. Reach out to me through my website, cmsdreambig.com, or you can connect with me on Twitter at Shapiro_WTHS, Facebook, Instagram, all those things. But again, Amy and I appreciate you. Amy, thank you for being an amazing guest. You were fabulous. I know people are going to get a lot out of our time together. As we finish, it is always the same thing. Here is the closing quote for today from Amy. We go, not ego. Thank you, everybody. Amy, thank you. You're
Thanks,
awesome.
y'all.
Have
Thank you, Greg.
a thank you. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
All right.